Hello, full gaming community and Beyblade community as a whole. We're here today with myself, Stay Cool, my man, Crisis Crusher, and our guest today, Geetster99, part of the Maryland crew. We're here today to talk about Beyblade overall, Beyblade discussion from the tournament scene, all the way to the nitty and gritty. Geetster, I really don't want to. I don't want to do your introduction. You want to do your introduction? Like, how long
I got you.
Go ahead.
I've had an account on the WBO since April 2011, and my first event was in May 2011. So I've been playing for 10 years now. 10, 11 years. Just about.
How old are you now?
22.
22.
Started playing when I was 11.
Jeez. All right.
Wow. So we've been around for a while. I mean, I've been playing with plastic for a lot longer, but playing like on the WBO, I've been playing since I was 11.
Yeah.
When do you know when the WBO was made?
2008.
Okay. So you're part of the early WBO then, still.
Yeah, it was pretty early. Yeah.
That's pretty dope. So my infamous question. I say infamous, and this is only our second time doing this. But like, what got you into Beyblade? Like, that's what I want to know.
All right, so when I was younger, it was probably like 4 or 5. I mean, we saw the plastics in the store, and I just thought they looked cool. So we bought them then and I played with them for a while, just at the house by myself and stuff. And then after plastic stopped, I mean, there was nothing, so I kind of had them sitting around for a little bit. Didn't really do anything with them. And then my grandma went to Hong Kong. This was around like 2009, 2010, I can't remember. And she brought home Metal Fight, and she just assumed that I would like them because they're like what we used to play with at the house. And then she didn't even know they're actually so Beyblades. So she just saw a spinning top that fought against another one, so she bought them. And so when I got them, this was before the U.S. release. So I was playing with Metal Fight Beyblades for maybe like a couple months before the initial release here in the States for Metal Fight. And then I've been playing them ever since.
That's pretty that's dope. I didn't have the luxury to play with the plastics, or maybe I did and I didn't even know because I can't remember.
Yeah.
I know Mike. You played with plastics too, didn't you? I know you were competing at that time, but
yeah, there was no competitive scene for plastic. But I started out. I was like 12 years old, and I started playing with plastics with some friends of mine. We went the extra mile though, man. Like we like the anime and everything, so we would go like and
yeah.
My bad on that. I didn't mean that.
No, it's all good.
Bleep that out. But we would like launch the Beyblades up the slides and everything, like you know how they do stuff in the anime. So that's like where we were. We were big nerd on that one.
Oh,
big weeaboo.
Yeah. Around that time, all I had was like really like just like Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh, but the Beyblade like that's what I wanted to ask you about. Like up here, like Jared, like did you want to go with some of your questions first, Mike? I didn't want to just like take it all. You want to go back and forth, or
it don't matter. I mean, we can go however.
All right, I'll shoot my second one. I know you said that, but since you were talking about like Metal Fight, one of my biggest questions are like the scene because I love the competition. So there was no competition as far as the plastic generation went on. Did it all just start with Metal Fight? I guess my second question is like, what are some of the trends or the phases that you've seen since you played, like from the beginning until like today?
So since I've been playing in WBO, I mean, it's been the same. Everyone generally sticks to stamina. That's always been a constant. No matter what, everyone will use stamina. Like, it's just everyone's favorite type for whatever reason, it feels like. But, I guess between the two series, like, there's been, I don't know. So we have, in Metal Fight, we have more, like, stamina attack hybrid combos that don't really exist as much in Burst anymore. So we would have like Metal Flat, which is I think versus Iron, which is like kind of a comparable driver to Metal Flat, but it just doesn't work as well.
You said iron? Iron?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it came off of one of the Excaliburs, I think.
Okay.
So our attackers, you could tornado saw against defense to outspin them. And then if you played against stamina, you just bank like a normal attacker, sliding shoot into them. But with burst, there isn't as much same spin matchups. So you can't use tornado sawing as a viable strategy, at least for your attack type against defense, because the defense drivers are already kind of weird anyway in burst. So they're basically on like a stamina driver. So you're not gonna bank. You're gonna have to bank regardless. But like I guess now you have the attackers like you put like guilty. We had rage on drift too. That's probably close to what a stamina attack hybrid is now.
Mhm.
And you're just winning an option spin instead of same spin. So it's kind of the same, but kind of different.
Kind of like how in Sparking I was using Zone plus Z on Rage.
Yeah, same concept.
Yeah, I had that. Like, I think is that like the stationary attack like you were telling me about, Mike?
Yeah, you would use it as like a stationary attacker, but it would also be really good in the opposite spin or even same spin LED at that point in time because Zone was actually good for same spin at that point in time.
I think it's wild that you well, it's not wild, but I felt like I thought attack was more relevant throughout the series. I didn't know like it's always been like the stamina game. Well, I mean it makes sense, you know, because stamina is like safe. But
yeah, it's not up to even when attack was most viable. You'd always have people forcing stamina because it's just easier to use.
It is.
So the only time where I can think of stamina being really detrimental to use like your own like success was like early Metal Fight Limited when they first made the format. It was skewed so heavily towards attack play.
Yeah.
So you really had to know how to use attack in that format. You still kind of do, but it's definitely shifted where you can use stamina a lot more in that format now.
Okay. Yeah, man. I since I've been playing, like I've seen, well, stamina is just like the way to go. It wasn't until like this last tournament. I mean, I've seen a couple people use attack style drivers, and honestly, we had a local tournament here in Jacksonville, and there was a kid. He was using Guilty. He had like a stock Guilty, and he won everything just using Guilty. Because he practiced with it a lot. I'm not gonna say it's luck. Yeah. As far as like Guilty goes, like you know how big it is, especially in the
standard stadium. Yeah.
In the standard stadium. So he was just getting a lot of KOs.
Yeah.
So it was nice to see, and it was beneficial to see. And plus, Destroy Dash or Destroy Metal or whatever, it still has some of that stamina. That's probably
the closest to what I was describing earlier, driver wall. Destroy is probably the best one for something like that.
Yeah. Destroy is something that it's something that I like. I wish I was better with like rubber style drivers, but I'm not. Mike, I want you to or if you can because like my last question is kind of like an ender question, and I don't want to take all the light. So if you want to talk to,
that's all good.
Yeah, go. You're good.
I mean, one of my first questions, considering we've been talking about Metal Fight, is for you personally, Jared. How was the transition from Metal Fight into Burst?
All right, so this is gonna sound really weird, but when we had a good like 5 years without Beyblades, so I mean was. At least Maryland, it was dropping off hardcore. I mean, we were struggling to get 8 people to play. And once Burst came out, everyone was all excited because, we're getting Beyblades. I bought all the original releases, so I had like the original 4 releases plus the stadium. And I played like 2 tournaments with them, and I hated them. Like, I legitimately hated Burst when they came out because I hated the mechanics. And I'm like, well, this is going to be a part of the series forever because it's literally called Beyblade Burst. So I don't know about this anymore. So I kind of took a break for maybe like 2 or 3 years. I would play like 1 tournament or 2 tournaments a year, period, until like 2019. I had Yami randomly message me because there was a tournament in Baltimore that was kind of close to me. He said, "You want to come? I'll pick you up right now." I'm like, "I guess I have nothing else to do today." So I just went and I just borrowed all his stuff, and we're playing classic format, which is basically the format that made me not want to play the game anymore. And I swept the tournament. I lost twice the entire time, but I won out in finals. And I was like, I guess I'm playing this game again. And of course, the Beyblades I used to not like, I like those more than what standard is now, which is really funny.
That is pretty funny.
I did.
Now
I
they,
thought
and
y'all
of
were in
course,
love with classic. Not to cut you off, but I thought like Maryland was all only about classic.
oh yeah, I mean we really like classic up here.
I mean, I honestly think it was until I started playing.
It was, yeah. We always tried to mix up the formats here. We used to play. Before limited, we only had 2, so we would flip flop them every month. And sometimes we wouldn't. Sometimes we would just play classic again. But ever since Mike started hosting, we just play standard a lot more.
Yeah, and I think that's also because like TSO and all of them have more stuff going on in their lives, so they can't really host as much. And I'm not going to host a classic tournament because I don't own any classic stuff.
Yeah. It's funny because TSO's been trying to push around in like the groups to get a standard tournament going again. So
I think she posted like at least when I looked up there's a lot of tournaments posted right now because I put in for my for the circuit up there, but it's not posted yet. But I figured because they have 1 million tournaments coming up and mine isn't until May, so they're probably just gonna wait till it gets a little bit closer. But I think TSO
yours won't show up on the front page till later.
Yeah. There's I think she posted up a classic one, and there might be a metal fight one. But I definitely know there's a classic one.
And metal fight in the same day.
Yeah. Pretty dope. And then but yeah, I didn't. Yeah, it was surprising to hear about classic. Can you? This is outside of the question.
That's fine.
What are the benefits, or why did you dislike classic, or what are the benefits of classic? Because I'm like Mike. I don't even play it. I don't even understand.
All right, so classic has a lot more like, I guess it's more like driver matchup, like heavy than standard is right now. Because standard you have like high extend plus, bearing, drift, and then whatever attack driver whatever they like the most. Those are like the only drivers you have to like really know how they work in standard.
Mm-hmm.
But in classic, you have a bunch of the ball drivers. So you have like orbits really strong. You have just the normal defense driver. You have like Eternals has some niche uses and stuff like that.
Yeah, I like Eternal.
And then you have like the Hasbro drivers. You got like Yard Dash S, which is the Slingshot Yard, is really strong for that set of Beyblades. Mm-hmm. And it's something that like Takara doesn't have access to because the Takara Yard isn't as good. But stuff like that matters a lot more, and there's a lot more that you have to know. Like, and there's like no opposite spin in that format at all. There's only 2 lesson layers, which is the 2 Dragoon layers, like the early ones, so Dragoon S and Dragoon F. So you don't really see opposite spin that often, and it's not really reliable like it is in the other formats because Dragoon isn't shaped well.
Okay. Because is that just because of how many parts are banned, or like the type of parts?
Yeah. So all the only less spin dual layer that came out was Los Longinus, and that thing was way too good for that format. And that's because it's a good attacker. It's not even because of opposite spin stamina or anything like that.
Well, it's because it's got metal on it, right?
It's got metal too, yeah. I mean, it's a lot heavier.
Yeah.
But even then, I don't think it would matter. I think the shape is really strong.
Yeah. I mean, I want to see it. I don't know if I'm going to play it, but I definitely want to see it. I know I want to see a metal fight competition. My son is like,
yeah.
It's just hard to get those bays.
It is really hard now, They're a lot more expensive.
They are. And to get, I know they call them, mid fakes. I don't know
that stuff is... Yeah. That stuff is a whole nother,
yeah.
That's a whole nother thing.
Yeah, and it's tough because even, some of the sources I look at, and I even try to get them for myself, even from, authentic Takara Tomy sellers, they're still, They call them mistakes. To me, they look like they're more like reprints. Like they got made. They weren't part of the original set that was made, which makes sense because that was like 10 years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
But they remade them, and they're not as good as the official modes, so they get looked down on by the community.
Well, they're like
which I understand.
They're like completely different material wise, and quality is really bad on them.
Yeah, I can see that.
They're like a lot lighter than the original ones.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're not as good, and I think they have like lead in them too, which isn't good.
Yeah, that's yeah, that's really bad. That's really bad. That's the whole drama with having the fake Beyblades.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not really looking like at them side by side, it's kind of hard to tell unless like there's like a really bad like misprint error or something on one of them. But like you can, if you look hard enough, you'll be able to tell the difference between the two.
Yeah.
I want to get some good ones. I don't even know if what I have is real. Like I'm gonna have you look at it. Like
yeah, you can shoot me like what you have, and I can just tell you what else you need to pick up.
Yeah, I know some of them are fake. I already know that. I've got some. I've got some from some like distributors.
You got them from someone out of a back alley and whatnot.
No, I got them off of eBay. Because some of them, I collect some of them, and then from other sources, like I was trying to see, like, hey, is this a credible source, so we could sell it on our store. And then when I got them, I automatically knew, like, okay, like, this is definitely fake. But some of the ones on eBay I get, I try to look at those, and I'm like, hey, is this legit or is it not legit? And some of them they are legit, and some of them like I can automatically tell like they're not. But even the ones that I think are legit, like I'm gonna have to. I need some of those metal fight eyes on them because I'm only like I can tell what's legit as far as bursts because that's what we deal with. But I'm not as good with like definitely not plastics. I don't think I own any plastics. And metal fight. Yeah. So
all right,
and it's hard.
If you want me to look at your stuff, I got you for sure.
Yeah, I'll bring it next time we come up to Maryland. We should be up there in May.
You have me, TSO, got Yami looking at it all. Yeah, we'll figure it out.
I appreciate that.
I think Yami will probably have stuff to sell too if you want to buy it.
I would. I do want to buy some of the. I do want to buy some, and I definitely want it to be like authentic because I collect them too. Like Ryuga, y'all, you know or should know just how much I post them with the circuit and stuff like that. Like,
yeah.
Like that's my dude. So that's what I try to collect. From a collector's standpoint. So if y'all have any of that, like I'll definitely buy as many El Dragos as I can.
I won that special El Drago from Frost tournament once and gave it to Jared.
Which one?
You got the black and gold recolor Lightning El Drago. I forgot where it came from.
It was a WBBA exclusive thing.
It was?
Yeah. Because it came in the brown box that says WBBA.
Yeah, it was an exclusive recolor. I just don't remember what exactly it came from.
Yeah.
Was it Metal Fight?
Yeah, it was a Metal Fight.
Yeah, it was the Metal Fight
one.
So it wasn't the Burst remake from the random booster. It's like the actual one.
Yeah, that was the whole reason why I gave it to Jared.
That's been a recolor I've been trying to find for a while.
And once I won it, I sent Jared a picture. I'm like, what is this? And he's like, I'll buy that from you right now.
Yeah, I didn't even tell you what it was. I just told you I wanted it.
That's dope. I think Frosty said he was he's gonna start doing like those are gonna be his tournaments, like his annual ones where he's gonna have it's kinda like Yu-Gi-Oh! Like the rare hunters.
Yeah.
Man, I don't even know if he wanted me to shout this out. Maybe he won't do it himself. But either way, his he's gonna have the tournament, so he's gonna be traveling and have like a rare Beyblade. It's like the top prize. It's like his annual thing. So I don't think it has started once you got that WBBA one, but that's gonna be the thing. So yeah, if he could definitely find those rare bays, that'll be dope.
All right, he needs to make one of them the Holy Knight version of Achilles Union, of Union Achilles. That's like a $900 bay.
Yeah. Some of them, man, Achilles, I think, I know that, what was it? It wasn't Union. What's the bay everybody was going crazy over just
Infinite?
recently? Yes.
Yeah, because they put it in a random booster and made it so hard to get.
They did. I was getting not literally death threats, but I was getting close to death threats for being sold out of.
When will you get more Infinite Achilles?
Yeah.
Boy.
I was getting cursed out and everything on the website because we didn't have it. I'm like, man, I mean, we're not charging $200 for it. But even if we were to charging $200 for it, it still would have sold out and would have been gone because everybody wanted that bay. It wasn't even competitive. I think it was just a collective aspect because people love Iger.
I've noticed that a lot of the, like, especially the younger ones, like Achilles a lot.
Yeah.
Like, I think they like him more than the Valkyrie kid. I don't watch the show. I don't know their names, but I know his name because I know a lot of kids like him.
Yeah, I feel like the younger kids, they really, really, really love Iger. Volt, I feel like more of the dads or like some of the older generation is really fans of Volt. At least from the store, from my perspective on the store, because like the dads and stuff, they'll be asking me about like Veltriax or Valkyrie, Valkyrie to collect and stuff like that. But man, the kids, they all want Achilles, by any means necessary. Did you have, Mike? Did you have a secondary question? I got a question that I was like, kind of drove me to have this conversation, and it was from the circuit. But I want you to go ahead because this question was kind of a big one. But,
all right, well, here, because I have a feeling that your question will probably lead into my third question. So then let me get my second one, then we'll get into yours.
All right.
All right, so Jared, since you've started playing Beyblade and been part of the WBO, how much has it changed?
So the rules have definitely had a big change between Metal Fight and Burst. There used to be a lot more, like, I guess, mind gamey stuff that was in the rulebook for a while. I mean, that got taken out before Burst came out, but it was stuff like now it's supposed to be double blind, where when you walk up to the stadium, you're supposed to not even face your opponent when you get there. You're supposed to turn around. Before, you could just face them, look at them, see what they're trying to put in the launcher. And, like, the second your Beyblade touched the prongs of a launcher, that's what you're using. You couldn't, decide afterwards. So there was, like, a lot of, like, people would fake attach a lot, which was something that was pretty big for a while. You could try faking people out, and when they thought you were attached, they would show you because you can't switch anymore. And then once you see their combo, then you would actually pull out a real Beyblade and put it on there. Like, it was crazy. And then if you and your opponent were sitting there for a while, there was a thing called the stalling clause in the rule book, which was you had 4 minutes to get a combo together and present it to the judge. And if you didn't put it together within the 4 minutes, you lost the match. So I guess that was like kind of the countermeasure to you just sitting there staring at your opponent for 5 minutes, trying to decide to see their combo.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
That's wild. That's really wild.
The Burst definitely was way more popular, at least in the WBO, than Metal Fight ever was. Like, we had like a period during Metal Fight that was like, it was pretty big, but from my knowledge, I think Burst has been pretty big since the beginning, at least once it got its US release.
Right.
I think the WBO overall has gotten a lot more competitive too. There's definitely less random combos you see. I mean, I see random kids come up out of nowhere. Never see these kids at tournaments before, and they got like the whole meta combo just thrown in their box, and was like, okay, I'm not used to this. Because back in Metal Fight, you see some random kids show up, and you knew they're just using stock combos all day. I don't see kids using stock combos anymore that often. Like, you'll see like one or two, but it was like a lot more common back then. But I think that might be also because some of the stock combos back then were better than what we have now for burst. First, there isn't really many bays out of the box that are like tournament ready to use. We had like 2 or 3 in Metal Fight throughout. That's about it.
Is it just me, or does it seem like, at least in our area, I know a lot more of the kids that show up, like even the random ones that only show up for one tournament and never show up again, they show up with Takara Tomy products.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely been a thing that's changed between Metal Fight and Burst. Back then, like, I guess it was because the internet wasn't as big back then. So parents weren't trying to buy offline as much. So they were just buying what they had in the store. Luckily, Takara and Astro molds were the same for a while. It wasn't like Burst where they started out the gate different.
Yeah.
So, like, they were still using the same stuff as the kids that are buying from Takara and off eBay and stuff like that were a little bit ahead. But the WBO community used to be a lot more, or I guess less secretive than it is now. Whenever someone has like a really good combo now, they don't say anything about it. They just win the tournament with it first, and then they'll say something afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day, we used to have, I think we had one recently happen with a classic combo. It's like the first time I've seen this happen in a while. People would, they would have the combos that they're making at their homes and stuff and playing by themselves, testing a lot. And they would post like test results. They would showcase their combo, say what it is, what the goal of the combo was, and they would post like results against like meta combos, like at 20 rounds, how many times it won, how many times it lost, if they were coming in the match, and they would post YouTube videos of that all, and then you'd have the whole community trying to either make the combo better, test the combo to make sure it was like legit testing and stuff like that. But like we never got that really with Burst from what I see. Like the Beyblade customizations section of the website just isn't as active as it used to be. Yeah. Like we had somebody like the Black Dragon. He used to play. He was somebody back in Metal Fight. He had all kinds of these testing threads all the time. I think one of my favorite combos I ever used to like Metal Fight Standard I got from him, but he kind of gave up on it. I kept using it though, and I eventually got good with it. But yeah, I literally took his combo. It was bad. I won a tournament in Canada with it.
What is that the one you was like that was a championship, right?
So for that the events in Canada there was tournaments each day of the week or the weekend. So on Friday we did Metal Fight Standard. And then I think we played HMS that day as well. And then Saturday we only played Metal Fight Limited, which was like the main event of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last day, Sunday, was Plastics and Zero G. So for the Metal Fight Standard tournament, I used the combo I found for a while. I mean, it was using Metal Flat, so of course I used it. It's like my favorite tip in the entire game. I just gravitated to that combo because it was just like it's everything that I liked in that game. There was everything. It was an attack stamina hybrid that was like really tanky, so it took attacks really well too. But he gave up on it, so it was funny. He posted it the day of the tournament. I was going to North Carolina for because that's where he was from.
Mm-hmm.
He used it and didn't do too.
Who is this?
This is the Black Dragon, so he's not around anymore.
Okay.
Was
he with like you and Dark Mousy and stuff like that?
Yeah. He was around then, yeah.
Okay.
So he had the combo. I remember him using it. And of course, every time he used it, this is the single bay format. That's all we played during Metal Fight. We didn't have anything else. So of course he just got the unlucky bad matchups with it. And he just like kind of gave up on the combo. I don't think I ever saw him use it again afterwards. But I started using it and I did pretty well with it for a while.
I've seen we do have I think I've seen that like once. Actually I've seen it from a couple of players and they actually are from North Carolina, like North Carolina, South Carolina region, and it is Builder Rob and hashtag Fafnir, where I see them. Yeah, they'll post up their combos that they use or they'll test. They're actually friends too, and they'll show those results and things like that. I won't lie, I am guilty of keeping my combos secretive because I am competitive in that way.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, but I know Mike Crisis. He always shares stuff with me, and he's always testing, just like I'm sure you know. So I think it'll all just depend because when it comes to like you want to be one thing I know with me, it's not just a competition. I want to be if I make a combo that is unique and no one's seen before, it's not like, hey, I don't want anybody to copy me. It's like, and this might be bad or selfish, but I want to be known for it too. You know, I don't want someone else to be known for it. Like,
well, I think that was part of why they like doing the combo threads because I made the thread. Obviously, it's my combo, so I started it first. So I think it was between that and it was kind of the pride of just saying that you discovered something, which is cool. And like seeing other people do well with it too was probably something for them. Like I wasn't into that stuff because I just never really did it. I generally stuck to like the meta. I didn't really skew too far off of it.
Yeah, I like I love the creativity, man, and that's what. All right, so this is what I want to ask. Were you good, Mike? Because I want to.
Yeah.
My big
no, that's it.
All right, so this is what I want to ask, and I heard this. And you can watch it on our Instagram too. But you and Mike were having a conversation at the circuit in VA, and we're talking about it's a big topic now. But the variant driver rule, which I think most people are comfortable with now. But you made a comment, Geetster, that like really intrigued me with because we were talking about the rule and everything like that. And you had said, like, it's not the WBO's fault or the rules' fault in the way of people using double drift or double bearing. Like, that's on – you was like, it's not the WBO's fault for the way – for how we choose to be. You said something like that. It was pretty much like it's not the WBO's fault that we wake up and choose violence when we use these, like, double drift combos or double bearing combos and stuff like that. And it made me think, and it was like it was true, you know, because Crisis, I didn't read your full comment. It's on the
no, the one on the WBO today.
Yeah, on the thread. I need to read it, but even if you wanted to talk about it, like that's cool, because Alan he used that the triple extreme combo, and I think he went in, at least when I saw it, maybe. I don't know if he was trying to meme or whatever, but it worked. It didn't win, but it was like, oh snap, you know, like this is if you could do it right, like it is pretty efficient because he got a point with every single bag. And it to me, when Geetster had said that, and like I think about like a lot of things are meta and we do play safe. But there are those players that do step out of the boundary and do get other things to work that are really efficient. And I know, like I talked about last time with Arca, I've seen you do it, Mike, when you use that never combo and things like that. And I guess my question more so is like what honestly, I don't know what my question is, but I guess it's the thinking of like going against the meta, like should we be doing that more? And like, go ahead.
It's probably what my third question is. Like, what changes does he see would be needed to make the game better and healthier?
Yeah. That could sum it up because when you had asked that, or when you said that, it's like the WBO or the rules itself. Like we don't have to do what we're doing. I think we do it because it's safe. But that necessarily isn't as fun. And when you think about it, like people can smash these double drift combos and these double bear combos with guilty. Like even if you put guilty, it doesn't even have to be on extreme. Like you just get guilty and even rage, and you could smash it. I'm even thinking about using. I know it's old school, but if I could find something to help it not burst, I'll even throw judgment on something and pray for some lucky shots or even try to get some good combos to knock these bays out. And I feel like I would have a lot more fun doing that than playing safe.
Definitely. Like attack has always been my favorite type. Like whenever it's like really viable, I always push it because I know I'm good enough to use it. That's like really arrogant, but
Nah.
So like,
it's the truth.
Yeah.
So like, it's weird though because like I can agree that attack can definitely like do good against the drift combos and stuff, but at the same time, I've also seen it fail against it hard.
Yeah.
So it's
attack
it's not.
Attack is always a type that you'll always be able to beat anything with. That is just a given. That's always been the same with Beyblade.
Right.
If you're good with attack, you can win any matchup. Doesn't matter how unwinnable it seems. Like that's why normally when I play like deck, it's like I played double drift the last weekend or whatever because I was like whatever about it. I always try to put an attack type in my deck right now or just in general because if I know I can't win with the other two combos, I know I can at least I have a shot to win with the attack combo no matter what.
Yeah.
So I can always get points back that way. I guess it also depends on how your opponent's launching too. That's something that matters a lot.
Yeah. I learned some things with it. I always learn from y'all. Whenever I play with y'all. When I went over Mike's house and we were all practicing.
Yeah.
And I just learned little things like when you were talking about like the setup of the stadium. And I never really thought about that beforehand. And then I saw you play against Mike and the way that y'all were launching and where the pockets were and the way and how you launched and stuff like that. So I knew you had skill with attack and you don't have to give up all your secrets. But I will attest, and I'm sure Mike can too, like when you said what you just said, like, yeah, you're really good with attack. And no, it didn't sound cocky like you are. So if you want to throw out some secrets, it'll definitely help me and help whoever. But yeah, I see that especially with a lot of the older players, like you, Sniper, even Yami, TSO, because a lot of people I meet, they'll look at Beyblade and they're like, man, you're just spinning tops. And it's so much more than that, it's so much more than that. And I learn something new every time that I do it, like even like launch styles and even the different types of stamina, those type of things. But not to take away from the topic, but yeah, I do respect and know. So if you want to give out some secrets and hints about attack, that'd be great. But yeah, what with what Mike was saying, like what was you saying?
What would make the game healthier?
Healthier, like some things we could look at, or even if you see it go ahead.
So with the way WVO deck is scored, at least for standard, because the other two formats right now, limited and classic, it's scored differently. So KOs are worth 1 for deck format in standard, while in the other two formats it's worth 2, which it lets you set things up better in your deck, because right now standard decks look kind of like you just put 3 good like first stage combos into a deck and you just like use them. But with a classic and limited, you can set your deck up in a way where you kind of force your opponent into a bad matchup with your attack type. So you'll give up a point because you're just basically throwing it away to set them up.
Hold on 1 second. In classic and limited, KOs are worth 2 points?
They're worth 2 points, yeah.
Oh.
And they were worth 2 points for a while in standard as well, but they made it 1, I think, when Zwei and Judgment were like actually the top of the meta.
Oh man, we might need to.
And it's never been reverted since. I don't think anyone's even brought it up. But I think if we want to stick with WBO deck, I think that's what I would prefer. Though, I mean, I guess the stadium is so much smaller now that KOs happen a lot more because there's just not enough room in the stadium anymore.
Yeah.
But when you would make your deck in a way where you can set your opponent up for a bad matchup for your attack type, and you would lose 1, but you get 2 back off of your attacker.
Yeah.
And it's something that it happens a lot in like classic. So you have to make sure you have some way to like not lose that to some strat like that. But like you don't get that in standard anymore because whether you win by KO or outspin, it's 1 point. So everyone just assumes, well, I'm only getting 1 point anyway. I'm just going to use the stamina type, so I know I don't like self KO.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's the other way too. If you make contact in the self KO, you lose 2 instead of 1. So you have to be good enough to use it.
Right, it's high risk, high reward type deal then. But when it's only 1 point, there's no high reward for the high risk.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you put in a lot of effort to learn your attack, launch, and everything else just to get 1 point for it instead of the 2 that you used to get.
Right.
And then go ahead. You can't let yourself come back that way unless all 3 of the combos lose to it. Because eventually, and especially now with burst, I think spin direction is a lot more important for attackers than it used to be. At least in Metal Fight, I don't think it was as important because the attackers are really strong. So you'd be okay with stuff either way. Like Flash when it came out was actually just a beast. That thing beat everything. But there wasn't as much left spin stamina until Dragoon came out later in 0G. But even then, Flash could KO that too, and then you had Y-Bang that was the same way. But now in Burst, we have a lot more, like, really solid stamina layers for left spin and right spin, so, like, trying to use, especially, like, recently, the matchup I've had a lot of problems with when I'm using Guilty is, like, into, like, the prominence combos. That thing will wall you.
Yeah,
I did it to you last weekend. Like, it was really was very disgusting.
And I did it to you at the one tournament.
Yeah. You did it to me too. Yeah, you and Alan got me that way.
Yeah, the prominence is a wall.
It's stressful.
I just don't believe in Ultimate or Savior enough to try using them.
Yeah, but like
otherwise I would.
But that's like one of the things that I feel too. I feel like because I got into Burst at the end of GT, early sparking, and I feel like had KOs have been worth 2 points from the start, I probably would have practiced with attack and rubber flats a lot more than I have. You know, it feels like it's just subpar compared to the stamina combos now to even bother trying.
Yeah, it's tough. They're tough to use. Like,
I think that's also why. I think that's also why you see a lot more of the older players, like the veteran players, are the ones that are using attack types because they have gone through the eras of time where attack has been good and worth playing, so they know how to do it.
Yeah, 100%.
So for me, getting back into Burst, the Burst Standard Stadium and the BB10 Attack Type Stadium for Metal Fight is like slightly different. The Metal Fight Stadium has a steeper angle than the Burst one, so I had to get used to that for a little bit. But it was just a matter of slightly changing the angle, and then the rest of the mechanics stayed the same.
And that's dope.
So it's just in my muscle memory at this point to do it.
Yeah. I've noticed that, like, the way like I said, like, Alan did really well. If you go back and watch, because it's on the stream, but it's hard, like, because you'll see him when he does the self KOs, and I do it the same way. Mike, I don't know if you do also, but it's like, you'll have those couple of launches where it's like, man, it worked perfectly, and then you'll have other launches where it's like, like you might as well not played.
It kind of demoralizes you to want to keep doing it. You're just like,
to keep trying it, and it's tough because it's like, if it works, and I know people say like, oh, it takes practice and this and that, but it does, but it's versus, like, you have Geetster right now. He's been playing for 10 years, over a decade, and I'm not saying it's not like jiu-jitsu where you have to get your black belt over a decade before you can use rubber drivers, but if you don't play with them as much, I do understand why it is harder and tougher, and it's, even though the stamina, I know I said what I said earlier, but it's a little bit easier. Like, when I like going for attack, I like quick because quick is a little bit easier. But I also like drivers like, destroy dash, because even if I do wig out, I know I'll still stay in the stadium. I'm not wigging out to the point where I'm going to self KO, So
that's the problem with extreme
speed that you don't get from the plastic driver compared to the rubber one. I mean, my mom used to get so mad at me. So I spent so long just practicing with like the rubber flats and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And you wear them out quick.
Yeah.
Using them like that. So I would always tell her, I need to buy a new Beyblade. She's like, why? I'm like, I need to get just this tip. Like, you make me spend time, like $10 or whatever on just the tip, the performance tip. I'm like, yeah, I need another one. Because there's always out of the box, they're a little too aggro, but after you use them just a little bit, it's like when they're primed and they're like really good, and they only stay in that bit for a little bit. So when you get them there, you kind of just don't use them anymore, and you just keep them there for tournaments. But eventually, you'll just use it enough, and it's out of that state anyway, and it's too worn down, and it gets too rounded out and stuff like that.
You mean like how much you and your mom use my thing from Secret Satan? It's actually
that thing is a rubber ball.
It is. It's literally keep backs now. I tried using it last night. I was practicing with rubber flats last night, and I used it, and it does like a flower pattern for a second, then just sits in the center. And
yep.
Like, why?
Yeah. But even like knowledge like that, like I don't know that sweet spot yet. You know, it's gonna take me some time to get there.
Yeah,
but I do know what you're saying.
Once you get better with the launch and you start launching them, you'll start getting to the point where like, I don't like the way it's moving anymore, and then you get a newer one, and then it'll be like, well, that's too aggressive, and it doesn't hold the pattern anymore. But like once you use it just a little bit and then break it in, it's kind of like when you're breaking your shoes or whatever. Like they feel kind of off when you first buy them, and then after you wear them for a little bit, they get better, and then the tread gets worn out on the bottom because you've worn them too long. It's kind of like that.
Yeah, that's a perfect example, because there's some things I want to do. I like going against the meta. I really do. So I want to, and I have a lot of rubber drivers. Like I have a lot. That's probably, I have more of them than anything else. But that's mainly because I'm not good.
You don't use them.
Yeah, and I don't use them. But man, if I could, I would use attack all day. Because I see the potential of it. Like Alan showed it, and Fried Pasta. Man,
he's gotten really good with them. I don't know how long exactly, but I mean he's been around since I started back up again. But he's really good with them. Yeah,
I was surprised. Like, did you go against him, Mike?
Who Pasta? No, I didn't get to go against Pasta that day.
Yeah, he had the. I don't think he used the double drift, double bearing combo.
He didn't use it. No.
Yeah, he had a really good 3v3 format deck, and he had a really good deck format deck. And
who did he play in top 8?
He went against
I think Garishi.
I played him in Swiss. No. He played him in top 4. It was
he played Garishi in top 4.
Okay.
Whoever I played round 4 of the event.
Max Rod. He went against Max Rod.
Okay, he went against Max Rod. Yeah. So then he definitely went against the double drift deck and did fine.
Yeah. But I heard when Max Rod had put it up there, he said Max Rod was winning, and it was that extreme combo that is like you said, Geetster. That's what Fried Pasta came out with, and that's when he reverse. I don't know if he reverse swept them, but that's where he got his points back from. Because he was down to 2-0 or 3-0 or something like that. And then
Max Rod is still a newer player too, so he's also still learning. He might not have launched properly. He might have launched in front of a pocket and stuff too, which could have been a big thing. Mm-hmm. So I'm not giving an excuse for why Pasta wins. I'm just saying I wasn't there to watch the match, so I can't analyze it. I'm just giving opinions of what possibly could have been what happened. Mm-hmm. But one thing I will say when it comes down to Allen, so the whole reason he used Triple Extreme was because the night before while at the hotel, he made a comment saying if he got to the final match, he was going to use Triple Extreme as a meme. And so, of course, it happened, so he used it. But then the whole car ride home, all he did was complain that he should have just stuck with the double drift deck, but he wanted to stick with his word. And we all had to tell him that, man, we, one, don't care if you didn't do it, and 2, most of us forgot you even said anything about that.
Yeah. So, I'm glad that he did do it though, because it was eye opener for me. I think if honestly, I guess it would have been great either way because I'm not gonna. I don't know what would have happened if he would have used the double drift combo. Deck. But if Pasta still would have won, it still would have been like, okay, Extreme is legit.
Yeah.
Right. But the fact
I don't think using 3 extremes is like viable. Maybe 2 at the most.
Yeah, I wouldn't use
for
3.
each direction. 3 is
Right.
many.
But the problem with that is the fact that there's no good like right spin attacker right now.
Yeah, right spin attackers are kind of weird to me, at least. I know some people get like Ultimate and Savior to work, but I haven't been able to have the luck with it.
What about
Ultimate is okay to me, but it doesn't do nearly what Guilty does.
Ultimate? Which one is Ultimate? That's the last one that came out, right?
Yeah,
it's the Valkyrie.
Okay. What about y'all think Divine, or you think Divine? Divine looks like Ultimate to me.
Divine looks like it's trying to be Ultimate, but like Guilty. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like it's trying to have the metal at the contact points, but I don't know if it's going to be enough metal like Guilty is.
I think Guilty. I think it's the slopes with Guilty and the metal.
Yeah, it is. I don't know how much the metal matters other than just the weight behind the contact point. The shape of the contact point matters too.
Yeah.
I would have to see what like the new Belial looks like from the side and stuff like that. Because it's because of how thin it is. If it's too thin, it's not gonna really work itself.
I think there is a side view of it, Jared. If I can find it, I'll send it to you.
It looks thick. The whole thing looks thick, but I don't know for sure.
Because I mean, you look at Dynamite without the F gear, and that thing looks weird. It doesn't look right.
Granted, that is the next part too. We're gonna get all those new gears too. So
yeah, that might give us eventually. It'll give us a good right spin layer because we haven't got one that's really consistent since Judgment, and Judgment's so much lighter than everything else now. It struggles. It bursts like Savior does.
Yeah.
Like Savior has the weight behind it, and it has like a decent contact point, but it's just too light, or it just bursts too much. Not even that, it's too light. Judgment's too light now.
Yeah, it is. There's a lot of like good. I was telling Mike, I can't remember if I said this on the last one, but the gap between GT to like GT the Sparkin, like the gap between GT versus everything else was so much greater than anything. Like you could still use GT bays in was it Sparkin? Yeah, Sparkin and the Sparkin meta. But you really can't use them too much in DB. Shoot, you can't even use really any Sparkin layers in DB.
No, you can't.
Like
we had Perfect Phoenix stay really relevant from its release until Sparking. So it carried through GT the entire way.
Yeah.
It's probably the best right spin stamina layer still.
It was still winning in Sparking. Right.
It still had niche use in Sparking too.
So like the weird thing is like the meta from each thing like transitioned slowly. Like even GT and the Sparking, there was still plenty of GT stuff that was still good because you still had Zwei until Rage came out.
Judgment.
You had Judgment that was still good. Through most of Sparking, Judgment was still viable.
I think it was all the way until DB.
Yeah, Master Wheel Plus was like the best combo until you got to Tempest. And then Tempest took that over.
Took that same role.
Yeah, it was a right spin instead of a left spin, but it didn't really matter.
Yeah.
But DB was so different because you had your first release and the first random booster, which was just Cyclone and Dynamite. But then as soon as Fafnir came out with the F gear, and you had both Vanish and Dynamite with F gear, that was it. You didn't play anything else.
You didn't need nothing.
Those two layers were really strong against Rage too, at least when they came out.
Yeah, and they're still super strong. That's why they're still used right now.
Yeah. Like they're still I would say the two best, like them and Prominence would be. That's all you need.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, like if you run in the stamina game, that's it.
I mean, Prominence isn't really good in same spin though.
Yes, yeah.
You would need the Prominence if you played deck format.
Yeah.
Yeah, like,
Prominence and Guilty would be the two like alternatives, but you need those two layers.
I feel like Astral's actually really good too.
It is. I feel
Astral's
like
definitely a layer that I don't think has seen enough play. I don't think people use it because it's so much easier to just default to and then something else.
Yeah, my thing with Astro, because I was running Astro for a while, but in right spin, I feel like it's outclassed by the Bilal combo, and in left spin, it's definitely outclassed by Vanish.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's definitely outclassed. But
I used it last weekend. I just never played against the same spin master with it having the entire time.
Yeah, like it's definitely the layer in DB that when it comes to left spin stamina and right spin stamina, it's probably the second best in both areas.
It is.
Like you have Dynamite and then Astral for right, and then you have Vanish and then Astral for left.
It reminds me so much of the Master combo just because of the way that the slopes are. They're opposite.
Yes.
They're opposite because of with Master, when it's in left, the slopes are down versus they're up when you have with Astral. But it reminded me of it. I had something that I was gonna say. I completely forgot. It was when we were talking about attack and with judgment, but I cannot remember. Oh, Mike, did you want to mention, because this was your theory, and I didn't want to shout it out unless you wanted to, about the gears and stuff like that with these new generations, and if it was possible.
Like, what about them?
Like what you were saying, like what is the new series was all about gears.
Yeah, no, I was just having a weird thought that, like, what if after Burst is over, then maybe, we get a couple-year hiatus of Takara Tomy, then they, like they did between Burst and Metal Fight, and then they decide to make a whole new Beyblade system. Like, my thought was what can the next Beyblade system be, and I keep seeing all this gear stuff, so I was thinking, well, what if, the cores of Beyblades are the same everywhere around, but then they have these different gears to switch onto them? Like, that would be the new system, that I was thinking.
Yeah.
That was just a random thought that popped into my head, and I realized, well, that is a way that it could work.
Yeah.
I learned not to try to assume what Takara's doing, because
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Exploding was the last thing I thought was going to happen after Metal Fight between.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm not going to assume it. I was just having a thought of, well, what could they do?
Yeah. Well, I thought you meant in the sense of like these new DB bays we're getting, instead of Bilal just having upgrades, every single day you can use to try to manipulate gears or to have it, because like the gears with Bilal, I think are the only ones. Well, I thought the only one people were using was F gear, but at the circuit I saw V gear be used, I saw S gear be used, and
Hello, so unfortunately, some of the recording cut off right here, but pretty much we were talking about the adventure driver, and Mike was explaining us the details of the new adventure driver, and then we just pick up from there. That's pretty much all you missed.
What?
I don't know.
That's gonna be one where you just wait for it to come out and you figure it out then.
Yeah, 100%.
That description means nothing to me.
Yeah. Something made me just laugh, and it's not a side note, it's what we're talking about, but the new driver that you showed me, because I heard about it, I was just thinking, like, if Takara Tomy was listening to you, like, talk about the variant drivers and metal drift and metal bearing, like, all right, Mike, how about we're not going to make a metal drift, we're not going to make a dash drift or anything like that, how about we put drift and bearing together, Because that's the driver that I'm waiting to see. I already know it's going to be spammed hard. I already know.
That's if people can get it.
That's if people can get it, because they're only doing 300 of them.
Is it? What is it? Is it a WBVA exclusive?
It's a campaign. So first off, you can only be in Japan to get it. So you have to buy like the Koro or whatever it is, and you have to send to Takara Tomy the barcode and everything from the Koro, and then they will send you the thing, and you can only be in Japan to do it.
Oh, it's gonna be on. It's gonna be on eBay for like $5.
It's gonna be on eBay.
Oh yeah,
right. It's gonna be super stupid expensive, and they're only doing 300 of them. However, you got to remember this is Takara Tomy and this is Beyblade, so they could do this. You're gonna have some stupid people I'm not going to drop any names, but you're going to have some stupid people that are going to buy this part for $300, and then 2-3 months down the line, they just put it in a random booster or with a Beyblade or something.
That's 100%. I could see that 100% happening. It's going to come out, and then there's going to be something where they'll be like, oh, but it doesn't weigh as much as mine or something like that. And it's like, man, it doesn't. I don't think it matters. But you know that they are going to make it available to everyone.
0.3 grams of weight does not make a big difference.
It doesn't make $200 or $300 difference. I tell you that.
Right.
It doesn't make that much. But I will say, when it does come out, the people that do have it first, I do feel like they will have I don't feel like
clear
they
advantage.
they will have a big advantage. So those tournaments that they win, the only thing is that they'll have a month. They usually have a month or 2 months to be able to use it before everyone else is able to get it.
Except for Solomon. Like,
Solomon
I think,
came out in the beginning, and then it was the last Beyblade to release in Super King.
Right. But I think that's why they changed how they did it with Perseus, just because they realized, okay, that was probably too long to wait for people to get that part.
Yeah. But it was, I'm not going to, I know they're going to, because, I mean, I've been watching it. The CoroCoro exclusives are good for the color variations, but as far as, like, you getting the parts, you're always going to get the part, because that's just how, y'all know, Takara Tomy works. Might get it a little bit later, but honestly, I mean, we have tournaments pretty often, but I don't think you're going to go so long with, like, you're going to be at so much of a disadvantage that you need to get it. But for those that do want to get it, you know, no shame to them, because it's still it'll be a really cool part, not even a pretty cool part. Metal bearing dash, a metal drift bearing. Crazy.
That'd be interesting.
I think it's metal bearing drift.
Metal bearing drift.
Yeah.
But regardless, once it does release, it's gonna be OP. A driver that I feel like, the only driver I feel like would do okay with it. Wait, go ahead.
I need to see it in person. The only reason why is because from the picture, it looks like the very tip to it is sharper than the regular drift. And if that's the case, like I said, that's what the picture looked like, but I think I remember looking at the picture of metal drift and thinking the exact same thing.
Yeah.
So
I think it's sharper because bearing, it's sharp like how bearing is, but the thing is when you use bearing and it gets awakened, that's when it's like more of an issue. At least my son's work like that. Like the bearing out of the box is good, but
the whole thing is they're promoting the fact that it just has a bearing inside of it, not necessarily that they combine the parts of bearing with drift. And they also did promote that the bottom is made out of POM. So,
okay.
So that could be what they mean by they took elements of bearing. They just made the bottom POM and put a metal bearing inside of it. Which that's like, if that's all it is, but the tip is still made the same as the regular drift, it's just regular drift. Like
I thought it looked like bearing, but I could be.
It does look like the very tip to it is sharper than the normal drift, but I have to physically look at it like in person to know.
Okay.
Like because regular. Yeah. So Alan, if you're listening to this, just buy it as soon as it comes out so we can check it out. Solid.
Did y'all have anything? Y'all have anything else? Any more questions?
What have you guys thought about the W since you got in? I know you guys have been in, definitely not as long as I have. I know you guys are a lot newer, and I'm kind of used to.
Okay. Did you want to go? You want to go first, Mike? You want me to go?
It don't matter. If you want to go first, go ahead. If not, I'll go first.
That's a good question. So
we got you as a store, and then we got Mike as a player more. So it's like two different perspectives. You know?
Yeah. So with the store, I came into the WBO. I am more competitive more competitive than a salesman. I got into the store mainly because I was getting upset and frustrated with Amazon and eBay and trying to get these bays. So I was like, let me do this. So when I came to the WBO, I promoted on the WBO back when I was allowed to, and that was cool. Not allowed to anymore, but that's fine. But as far as what I see or my interaction with the WBO, I like the WBO as a whole. I wish some things were a little bit different as far as I guess some of the rulings, and I think I'm looking at that. Well, let me say this. One thing I know, I talk about the rules and I discuss the rules and the way things are ran, but sometimes I look back and I feel bad because this organization was created far before I even was involved with Beyblades. So for me to come now and be like, hey, I want to see this, I want to see that, and let's do this, because I knew if it was my thing, like Fort Gaming is my thing, and you're coming like 15 years after I've had this established, and you're trying to give me input and stuff like that, I'll be like, hold up, man, like this was here before you were here, it's probably be here after you're gone. I appreciate your input, but kindly, shut up. So I get that and I respect that. But I do think some things need to be looked at, and because I view it as I think this is a growing sport, and I call it a sport because it's still competitive, and it's becoming more competitive. So when I look at the WBO versus like the WBBA, and I see the involvement, like the WBBA is continuing to evolve every year. Granted, they created Beyblade, and they have the game and stuff come out. I feel like the WBO lags a little bit behind it, and I know it's tough, because everyone is volunteers and friends and things like that. I love the organization, and I think it's great. I do think there are some adjustments, not even just with the rules, but some adjustments that just need to be made in general. Like another thing, like Blader's Kingdom. I wish Blader's Kingdom was able to be promoted on the WBO. Even though I know it's not, and I know you have to go through the organized process and things like that, but it's like we all know Michael Nightwing. We know his YouTube channel and things like that. And I could see, like why you just don't want anybody promoting on the WBO, but because you could have some weirdo or some craziness happen, and you have like kids or family show up, and it's nothing to do with Beyblade. But for things like that, it's on the YouTube channel, it's promoted. Like, why is it so strict? And the strictness and the rules kind of like deters people from the organization sometimes, and I've seen it. And I try to talk to people, to get them involved. But I feel like some of these things, it kind of hurts Beyblade more than helps with some of the strictness. But overall, I still enjoy it, clearly, and I still play. But I think that's how I feel. I don't know if I really answered the question, but that's how I feel about it. I love it and I enjoy it, yeah, but I want just to sit down and to let up on some of the strictness, because overall we want it to be fun. I don't know. You good, Michael? If you want me to clarify or anything, I can.
Yeah, seems fine by me. I guess when it comes to the WBO, on like things that I feel about, like ultimately the WBO, I'm fine with it. The only thing I kind of feel like I wish I'd see more involvement with staff. Like, I get the staff has to do a lot of stuff behind the scenes, but it's one of those things where it's like, you see, like, let's go back to the driver rule variant where you have me and Think constantly going back and forth in a forum about it, and then the only staff member that shows up and says anything is Shindog. Well, where's the other staff members coming in and chiming in with their stuff? Like, when they first decided to make the rule variant, I actually had asked, could some of the staff members, give some feedback and let us know why did you ultimately choose to go with this rule? Like, but I never got a response to that, so I never actually understood what decisions drove you guys to think to do this, and now here you are reverting it, and here's the same question: what made you decide to revert it? Like, that's just what I want to see. I want to see more involvement from staff. But I understand, a lot of the staff members probably, some of the bigger named ones probably started with the WBO and they were younger. Now life is changing for them. They don't have as much time as they once did to be able to do this stuff. Maybe Beyblade's not even as big of a hobby for them anymore, but they continue to do this stuff because it's, their responsibility. They started it. They feel they got to finish it. So that's my only real thing with the WBO. Everything else I'm pretty much fine with. I like how it's ran. I mean, I can agree with James in the sense of I'd like to be able to see people like Mike Nightwing promote his tournaments because I go to every Bladers Kingdom every month, and it's a lot of fun. I have more fun at that than I do a Beyblade standard tournament for WBO. Like, it's just, they're real fun. That's why I'm trying to get you to come to the one next week.
I'll have to go to the next one.
Yeah. And I'm giving you plenty of DB stuff, so you'll have everything you need.
Yeah.
I think that's the, like, every tournament, like, I shouted out, like, I want to promote Beyblade. I promote just the fact of competitive Beyblading more than even promote our store, to be honest, especially at the tournaments. And with that, and that was always my thing, like, I want to, like, it can't be completely free and completely open to everyone to just promote on the WBO, but I feel like there are a lot of things that, like, the platform that the WBO has as far as, like, promoting the sport of Beyblade or just the enjoyment of Beyblade could be utilized a lot more by just, like, even opening it up for people to be able to host their own local tournaments. Because, like, that would be so easy. Like, if you search Beyblade tournament and you have one right down the street versus, like, because it was tough for me, like, I'm not trying to sound cocky or arrogant with this. I was, like, 30 years old, and then I had to take this quiz. And then after I take this quiz, like, I think now, you had the phone interview, and then you need to fill out this Excel spreadsheet, which I mean, I get it and I understand it, but it's like,
well, I
I'm
mean,
to play with some toys, I mean,
the only thing I can say to that is, I've seen some organizers that have really messed up things with the tournament, and it's like, how did you get to be an organizer when you're messing this up? Like, and that's the only reason why I think they do that, because they want it to be less of a headache for them having to go through and try to get everything fixed. Because that is a big thing. Like, you give the responsibility to do this stuff the correct way to one person, and then this one person decides, I messed it up, but I just don't care that I messed it up. Like, I'm not even going to try to fix it. So I'm just going to put all the stuff onto you now. And then you hurt the players, because if it's too messed up, they're just going to be like, well, we're just going to avoid this whole tournament. So these players get screwed out of, like, their rankings and stuff like that. And that's another thing. The ranking system needs to change in the WBO. That really needs to change. Because I especially for you, Jared, like, I feel really upset for you sometimes when, like, we go to a tournament.
Yeah, not too long ago.
No, I know it too.
Like, we go to a tournament and Jared gets one loss to Alan's son JJ, and it's like, well, that's it. I can win out the rest of the day, and I have lost points.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, that one tournament up in New York, I went, like, I think it was 8 or 9-1, and I got like 21 points. And then if it was like any of you guys that did it, you guys would have got over 100.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. It's super hard for me to get points. It's even worse than Metal Fight now.
And, like, I'm starting to get to that threshold where, like, because I'm supposed to move down to North Carolina. Once I move down to North Carolina, other than Archipald, there is no one higher than me now.
Yeah. Where are you at right now? How many points you got?
I'm 30. I was 30th. Now I'm 35th after your tournament. But then I have this weekend too. We'll see what I can make up. But, like, I'm 35th right now. But there's no one else. I mean, there's C.S. Cramen, but he's our Florida blader, right? He doesn't really come up that much. Yeah. I don't think he comes up to North Carolina for your guys' tournament. So, like, I'm higher than Frost, and I think every time I look at a North Carolina event, it's like you have Archipald and then Frost. So it's like, if I come up there, it's going to be Archipald then me. And I'm just like, oh, great, I have to play Archipel, and I have to beat him to even try to gain points.
Yeah.
I think that's a part of having, like, newer communities popping up, like, now, because, like, in Maryland, we have a lot of people that are, like, already up there that have been building up points for years now. So when you beat one of them, you just, like, you get a huge point boost that way, and it eventually just evens out through the whole community where a lot of us have, like, a decent amount. But in, like, North Carolina and stuff, a lot of them are starting from 1,000. Like, that community down there, they haven't had enough events, and they don't have, like, big, like, people you can farm the points off of like you do here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm hoping, like, me moving down there, I'm an active, like, organizer. Like, I organize one every month. So I'm hoping that once I'm down there, you guys will actually get to have a tournament every month. Because I see sometimes you guys go, like, a month or two without a tournament happening down there.
Yeah. Well, my thing is, and it's my fault, man. Because honestly, between Frost and I, we can have 2 tournaments a month. But it's not on him, it's on me. Because I'm doing the circuit, which I'm gonna have to relook. I'm gonna have to look at it again because, like, my initial intention with the circuit, like, I was hoping to be able to do this, and it also, like, inspire other people to start hosting their own tournaments, you know. But I don't think it's doing that. As far as new organizers and things like that. Like, if I go to Atlanta, or if I go to DC, y'all do y'all thing. But really Atlanta and Richmond, because North Carolina, we do have tournaments here, and DC, Maryland, y'all are the most active. But it's not doing that as much. And then, like, I feel bad because when people ask, like, when you doing this again, and I won't be back for a whole another year. And I asked them, I'm like, hey, you know, do you mind hosting or this and that, or if you want to host, like, we can help. You know, like, we actually have a promotion to help with prizes and stuff. But it's tough to do it. So instead of me focusing on trying to do it everywhere, I think it'll probably be healthier and also less stress on me and my family if we were in North Carolina and really build our community, because we definitely have the people here. And from me playing against y'all and Arca playing, he got his points from down in Florida games. I get my points from playing against y'all and winning. And Frost just played a hell of a lot, pardon my language, that 1 year, and he racked up a whole lot of points. So we do have a few people here. Oh, and Beyblade Blast 11.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I may just, after Dark Continent, I need to look at things and then probably focus on North Carolina and building.
Well, to be fair, I have a feeling, like, if you want to do, like, your circuit thing, you know, you just have circuit events all around, you know, in North Carolina, and then, like, say you just have one big event every year. If you make the prize support big enough, I know Jared will come down for that. As long as the prize support is big enough to where he feels it's worth the trip, he'll come down. Yeah. You know, like, that might only be the big thing.
This year, if y'all could come to Dark Continent, it's only gonna, like, the grand prize is only one person winning it. But I have invited so many people that regardless, I hope it's just a great turnout. I've talked to Toronto about this. I've talked to Washington, Florida, y'all. So even if it's like you don't get that, my goal for the whole circuit as a whole was to have great competition. I'm gonna try to get Dark Mousy to come out even if he doesn't compete. But I do hope y'all can come. I'm sure you'll be there, Crisis. But I hope, like, the whole Maryland crew, like Jared.
Wait, when are you doing Dark Continent?
July 23rd.
Oh, I'll be down there. So yeah. Because we're trying to move down there July 1st. So
okay, July 23rd and 24th. I plan to do it, and then after that, I'm gonna look back and see, like, I may just focus on North Carolina. It'll be easier on me and my family, and to build a community here, and then hopefully,
Well, Jared is an organizer. You could spread that way there too. Get in contact with different organizers that you know from spots, and be like, hey, Jared, you know, would you host a circuit event on my behalf up there in Maryland?
Yeah.
You know, you could do it that way too. that would be the easiest way to do it. Like you just support the prize support like you would do anyway if you were going up there.
Yeah.
But you're just having a different host it.
Yeah. That would be a whole lot easier and a whole lot better because I do get quite tired. Like we like traveling, but man,
right.
It's taxing, especially with my career.
Right.
And then
taxing. Like, you know, like say say throughout the whole year you just have other organizers all around the East Coast doing your circuits, and then when you want to do Dark Continent, you choose, okay, well, the best place that's like right in the middle for everyone is Richmond. So that's the one time a year you have to travel for Beyblade, and you have it right there in Richmond, so that way then everyone that's played can come there because it's right dead in the middle.
Yeah. Richmond used to be the spot for like the crazy tournaments would happen at Richmond.
Yeah.
Because back in the day, there was like a big community in Raleigh when Dark Mountain was hosting down there, and then we had all of us in Maryland still, and that was like the halfway point. So you would have all the North Carolina people, all the Maryland people, plus the people from Virginia that played too would be in Richmond. So those tournaments are always like really big. They're really competitive too.
That'll probably be the goal then. Like I don't know what's going on like fully with my career, but I do want to start building up the local. So North Carolina, like we have the North Carolina community, but Frost, he's on the west side of North Carolina because our state is so long.
Mm-hmm.
We don't really have a big community on the east side. There's a lot of bladers in Raleigh, but I haven't been hosting there, which is my fault. But yeah, if we could build it up like he builds it up out in Charlotte on the west side, and I do it on this side, y'all continue to do y'all thing, and yeah, I would. That'd probably be the goal. Like this year, Dark Continent is definitely going to be here. But if I could host it, like we have that meeting in Virginia, that would be sweet. Appreciate y'all talking to me about this.
Mm-hmm.
Bouncing those ideas off. Atlanta, I have to find an organizer in Atlanta. I think Archipel said he was going to start, but that probably takes some time because I know he's busy with his career too. And I wanted to touch back. I wasn't trying to, or Mike or I weren't bashing the WBO. We still love the WBO. I know I do. It's the opportunity to play like 100%. Like I thank God that we do have it, you know, because the WBA, we don't have that here, and the WBO is our platform to enjoy Beyblade and to have it. I think all we're trying to say is just as times change, just look at some things to revamp. But overall, we're 100% thankful for it. And I appreciate that question too, man.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I kind of want to shoot that question back at you too. How you felt from the progression of the WBO, and what you see about competitive Beyblading for the future.
So for the future, there definitely has to be some kind of plan being made because now we know that we're not getting any more bursts after this last year or whatever.
Yeah.
So between the WBO or you got like Premier, you got you, somebody's gonna like have something together to keep people playing because you're not gonna have new product coming out. There's no new show coming out. I think that's gonna be the big part.
Yeah.
Without a show or anything, you're not gonna get as many newer people getting into the game because there's nothing to advertise it anymore. You're basically gonna have what you have and that's it. So you have to find a way to keep like engagement up to keep people playing, especially after because. Otherwise, we're going to have what happened with Metal Flight again, where eventually it just falls off until a new series comes out.
That is
true.
I
mean, it might be good for like another year after because once new stuff stops coming out, you'll actually have enough time to really mess with everything. Old parts, old drivers, stuff like that. And you'll probably see the meta shift for another year or so. And then once it gets the same, or like once people finally like optimize it to as much as you can optimize it, it's just gonna stay really stagnant afterwards, and that's what's gonna make it bad. So between that time period, something needs to happen where you keep players engaged on the WBO, and you still have to be able to promote it for people that still play and don't know about it yet.
Yeah. I had to talk to Netflix and see if we can get an original series to promote up there. Yeah, I thought about that because getting the newer and younger kids in it. It is like when they see Turbo for the first time and they see Evolution for the first time, they're like, "Oh, I want to start playing. Like, let me get into this." But without that, it's gonna hurt.
Like, the reason why the Metal Fight Limited format exists is because we weren't getting any more product anymore, and it was starting to get harder to get. So then all the stuff that was easier to play around, plus we had the Hasbro weird variants of stuff. So we wanted to make sure people had stuff that they could use, and you had something new to play too, for everyone that was around, and the people that were just getting in had an easier way in because Limited was a lot more accessible than the standard Metal Fight format was. The standard Metal Fight got really expensive by the end.
Was that with the Zero G stuff, or?
With Zero G, yeah, because there's less of it made, and like some of the sets had like exclusive parts that you couldn't get anywhere else. So you had to buy this $100 set at least twice because you needed 2 of the metal wheel.
Yeah, it's a lot of money, man. A whole lot of money. I don't think Verse is gonna. I don't know, man. I know the manga is finishing, but I don't.
The manga and the anime are both done.
Yeah, the manga and the anime. I feel like, I don't know, and this could just be me, my wishful thinking. I feel like it's a big cash cow for Takara Tomy.
Well, I feel like they're not going to have as big of a gap between this series and the next. Is what I honestly think. I think Burst is going to be done. They might hold off for a year or two after they're done with all the products, and then they're going to have a whole nother system. It's not going to be like a 4 and 5 year gap like it was before.
Well, I mean, I think they pushed Burst to like the limit. I mean, we didn't have electronic drivers and weird stuff like that for Metal Fight.
Right. Yeah.
I think everything that could be made for Burst is made, and that's why we're getting high drivers now, because that's literally the same thing. They put a thing on it. So.
Right. The DB system is unique.
Yeah. So, but like for sure, this next like year or whatever is going to be important.
Jared, I have something that I do want to ask you, though. Now that we have, like, 3v3 and stuff like that, how do you feel about disassemble mode changes with the game for WBO tournaments?
I think that at least the stuff like high and low mode, that stuff's fine. I definitely think you have to be careful with dual spin layers because those can get abused really quick. Like, if you get a good attack one, I mean, you'll see me use it. I mean,
so you think like
it's definitely you have to be cautious about it, but I think in the long run it's probably more fun.
Do you think other than like spin rotation, like disassemble mode changes should just be allowed as many times as you want?
There's so many in Burst that I think you should make it allowed. Cause I mean, I guess Metal Fight we didn't have it too much. We had the 4D system which did it, and Zero G I guess you could flip the metal wheels if you synchron, but First, it feels like every Beyblade has their own gimmick that requires some sort of disassembly that you don't really get as much use out of playing WBO because you just can't do it.
Right.
I think high and low mode is like a constant for all the Beyblades, but like stuff with like is it Union Achilles that has the little? I guess you have
the sword attachment for
the sword
attachment and the shield.
Yeah, you have Infinite with sword and shield. Like you can't use both of them. I guess that one's kind of different than the others, but stuff like that you don't get use out of. Like taking the chip off of.
Yeah,
like
I saw a post about that because someone asked, and I can't remember who answered. I think it might have been Mana, or I can't remember, but they were pretty much saying like that rule was made because it was made for Tom, and it was something that wasn't re-looked at.
Yeah.
But it could be something that's looked at again because, like I said, with the growing of Beyblade and the growing of like there's definitely not in the DB system where there's a Beyblade that just comes and it only has one form, like everything.
Except for Raphael,
Raphael, it's the one. I thought it was pretty legit. Like if this was for stock combos,
That's
would,
probably one of the better stock combos in the game.
Yeah, it's definitely a better stock combo.
For stock combos.
We don't have a lot of good stock Beyblades or bursts. I think it's always been a constant.
Like, it's just the only thing that sucks is literally though, like, you buy Greatest Raphael, you take you buy that stock combo, you literally take the Greatest Raphael and throw it in the trash can, and then you can just put the Vanish on there, and you're like, cool, I'm done.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, just because low mode is really important, just like high mode is really important.
Yeah.
Like with these Beyblades, they are extremely important for both. Like, and it's a skill set too to be able to know when to go into them and when not to. But the problem is
was the first time I did that stuff a lot.
Right. But see, the problem with it is though is like when you can only do it once and you have these formats where you're using multiple bays and you have to reshuffle and stuff like that. You're like, well, do I do it right now or do I wait until like we're on the last point to even try to get it? Because you know, what if I go against that other bay that he's got that I know he's got at this point? Like, you know,
I can definitely see it going either way because that's kind of a decision that you have to make, and that's a lot harder to make when you only get the one. Because if you can do it multiple times, it's like, well, it doesn't matter. I'll just always have the best combo lineup, the best like mode lined up. But when you only get it once, you kind of have to think about it. Like when we did the Fort Gaming one, with you only got one spin direction change.
Yeah, and
people
came over and tested
doing
with
that
me.
right.
Yeah,
because I saw a lot of people putting like the dual spin combo in the middle or like the beginning instead of sticking it at the end, because you didn't get the knowledge of the combos ahead of time. So I was putting mine at the end just so I knew what they're like. If they had two left and a right and I started in left, I'm going to switch it, but otherwise I'm not going to, because I don't know what they're on.
Yeah,
because you use your one switch without the last combo.
I put mine in the beginning just so I could get a guaranteed point, because I start getting anxiety if I lose that first match, and then I make mistakes. So.
Me and Jared put them at the end, and it was wild. Because I remember for that tournament, my combos were Vanish with bearing, Dynamite with bearing, and then Astral with Zone Dash plus Z, and I just flipped the Astral when I needed to, and it was insane.
Because if you put it in the other parts of the deck, you don't get the full knowledge of your opponent's combos. So then you're switching, and then when you reshuffle, you're going to be, oh, well, I can't switch it now. I just got a bad matchup.
Right.
Because you're guaranteed to get that last combo unless something bursts, but it doesn't happen anymore. Let's be real.
Yeah,
that rarely happens.
Bursts do happen, but not as often as they used to.
They don't.
Sparking, they almost never happen. Sparking, like, I think the combo that burst the most in Sparking was actually Tempest.
Yeah,
because of 1S.
1S.
Yeah. And the fact that it was spammed so much. That's probably why, too. But, yeah, those chassis, I thought about that as soon as I saw it. I was like, man, can these things even burst?
I mean, I'll be 100% honest. Like, midway through Sparking, I'm sitting there looking at it, and I was like, what could they even do to top this? I don't think there's anything they can do to top this double chassis system. And then they came out with DB, and I was like, well, I'm just going to shut up now.
Yeah. Yeah. It is dope, and and all in the way it looks. But with Tempest, like, that shows you the big gap that DB had, because Tempest was the meta. It was the meta. And as soon as, like y'all said, when Dynamite and Fafnir came out, Tempest did not exist anymore. And I didn't see that, like you said, because Phoenix was still good. Even Lord was still decent, and Super King a little bit. But as soon as DB came out, it was, people hate Tempest now, you know? Not because it's like spammed or good. It's because it just went from the top tier, like S tier, to straight up D.
Yeah, it's not good enough anymore.
It's not.
Yeah, it's the low center of gravity to the DB days.
Yeah, and the weight.
Like, yeah. Well, that's the thing too. It's where the weight is located. Like, Tempest it can't do what it used to do.
Yeah. All right. Y'all good? We're about a hour and 40 minutes in.
Yeah, and we're here for a lot longer than I thought we were going to be.
Yeah, me too. I was dozing off. I'm sorry, y'all. But I appreciate it. It's talking about Beyblades and time got away from us. Appreciate it, Geetster. Appreciate it, Crisis. Like always. Looking forward to seeing y'all soon. Thank y'all again, Geetster. What's your rank?
I'm 4th in Metal Fight, and I'm 14th in Burst right now.
All right. Y'all can check him out on the WBO, see his rank. Shoot him tons of messages. He may not answer them because he already spammed with them. But thank y'all. This is our 2nd episode. Hope to make many, many more in the future. It's going to be me and Crisis Crusher interviewing tons of bladers, maybe even you someday. But check us out, 4gaming.com. Check us out on the WBO for any competitions coming up and anything like that. All right? And take care.